This probably 130 to 140 class buck. I mean, by far the biggest buck I've ever seen in the state of Pennsylvania on public land. Jumped in front of me. Alright guys, this is the second day of Pennsylvania rifle deer season. I'm here at a spot that's around 5:30 right now. Just got into the tree stand. We got a fresh layer, about an inch, maybe a little bit more of snow. So I should be able to see pretty far as well. So in about an hour and a half, we'll go ahead and start seeing a few things here. Maybe 9 to 10 o'clock, I'll probably get out and do some still hunting like I did yesterday. I had some success yesterday still hunting, so I'm gonna do that again. It's around 6:30 right now. In about 20 minutes, we should be able to see enough to make a shot. As you can see, it's snowing pretty good. I love it. But hopefully we get on the dough. It's not windy today, unlike yesterday. It was winning and howling all day, for the most part, which is a plus. You don't have your scent flying everywhere. Alright, let's get after it. So, it's only a little after 7 here, and I got that on my stand because that same guy came in and he was sitting somewhere very close to me. And when I talked to him yesterday, I guess there was a miscommunication. He had no idea I was in there yesterday morning, so I talked to him a little bit again. He's gonna hunt that area, and I'm gonna do some more walking for the rest of the day, pretty much. Alrighty, it's a little after 8 o'clock right now. Just got up from that little spot. I'm gonna walk up the road a little bit and then cut into the woods and do my little spot and stalk. Yesterday, I ended up seeing a nice deer, a really nice buck. And I was so close to getting a shot at it. I saw the antlers, I saw the top of its back and its tail. But I wasn't quite within the right position to get the right shot. So, I couldn't see the whole body. And then it took off. So as the day goes on, you're going to see a lot of James's footage as well as my footage. We're going to alternate back and forth just because for where we're hunting, if we don't really see deer, it's kind of hard to make a video out of it. So we're just going to alternate back and forth to really kind of tell you what we're dealing with, what we encounter, how we see things, what we're hunting, that sort of stuff. Still hunting through these areas here that I thought might be good. I found a few where I saw lots and lots of fresh deer tracks, even since snow we had in overnight / in the morning. And as I come up over the ridge here, I'm walking on the ridge that I saw the buck and the doe yesterday, and I come to this section where I see this big patch of like leaves and stuff are churned up from something feeding. I think that seems more like turkeys to me, but I haven't checked it out. I don't know. There might be deer tracks leading away from this. And since it's such a huge area, I think that's more like turkeys than deer. Upon further investigation, it's actually a bear. The bear tracks. That pile of bear poop. I have no idea how to judge a bear based on the tracks, see how big it is. I think that's the back foot, though. I think this is probably the front foot. So hunting up here in the big woods of Sullivan County, it can be kind of tricky. We're dealing with thousands upon thousands of acres right in front of me. And these woods are mostly covered with a lot of beech trees. There's a lot of hemlocks as well mixed in between that. And in between all of those things, every now and then,
you'll find these hills that go down into this kind of swamp. A bunch of swamps are down there. What I like to do a lot of is just sneak these little old logging trails. For example, this is an old logging trail. You sneak back down through these things. You kind of just peek right over top of those little lips that drop down to those little swampy areas, as well as with all the hemlocks. When it's snowing, a lot of times I'll find deer down there in areas that are swampy and also filled with hemlocks, scratching at the bottom and stirring up a lot of stuff. But we're just gonna sneak through here for maybe a couple hours, sneak through all this stuff and keep on working all this beech trees and hemlocks and swampy stuff for the next maybe mile or a couple miles or 3 miles or so. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take us. It's probably gonna take us a little bit. And then for the evening, we're probably going to find one of the better spots that has the most sign and kind of just sit there and wait it out. Black bear here. Right there. It's weird. For some reason I'm seeing the most bear tracks I've ever seen right inside the swamp. I saw 3 different sets. One was around 10 inches. Of course the snow melted a little bit so it stretched out, but it's a big track. They love these swamps. Alright, here's a little update for you guys. When I was spot stalking, kind of walking back, I ended up finding these fresh bear tracks. Followed them for probably a mile. Plus or minus a little bit, and it ended up coming right down below right where I'm sitting right now. And in doing so, as I was following those tracks, it ended up bumping a really nice buck. There's a pretty good trail right there, and it comes right to me, and it goes all the way down to the road and works all the way to me. And what I'm setting up right now is actually planting this nice pine tree to block my silhouette, sitting on a rock. I'm not sure if there's going to be any deer moving through here, but typically there's a lot of buck in this beech trees. For some reason they love this because it's so thick, as well as trying to watch behind me. Hopefully no deer sneak up behind me, but we'll see.
I tracked that bear, which turned out to be a sow and at least 1 cub, for several hundred yards. But it started to go into areas I don't want to be in, so I gave up on that, and now I'm kind of working my way back to the road, still hunting.
So I'm actually filming this the second day, but I forgot something to tell you that happened to me at the end of day 1. Basically, when it came down to me about ready to leave the spot that I was at, you know, the one in the pine trees and stuff, when the truck drove down the road, it's a road that it's in state game lands on both sides so you can hunt it. Drove down the little back road to go ahead and pick up one of my friends, maybe a mile or so down the road. And as I was driving, this probably 130 to 140 class buck, I mean, by far the biggest buck I've ever seen in the state of Pennsylvania on public land, jumped in front of me on the road, no more than 25 yards, went off to my left, up onto this kind of landing area, and I quickly found a parking spot, walked down the road, and then up to into the woods a little bit. And here in Pennsylvania, you have to be at least 25 yards off the road. I needed to sneak into the woods to shoot this buck because it was on top of this landing. Because I ended up seeing that buck right about there, right where those briars are, those thicket, mountain laurel. I had about maybe 15 or 20 yards from the road up this little hill, and I just needed about 10 more steps to get to that 25 to 30 yard zone. As I was cresting over the top, this buck essentially I could see his big rack. I mean, it was probably 18 inside, and I could see his tail and a little bit of his back sitting at the crest of this mountain, this hill. as I was going up, he was on the flat. I was going up, and I just couldn't get far enough in with getting a shot. Anyways, I took a couple more steps. He turned around and looked straight at me, and I could see his rack. His rack was literally probably 8-inch tines. Biggest buck I've ever seen out here. And then he took off on that side of the pine tree and went way up in the hill, and I could have never gotten a shot. I wouldn't have shot in the first place if I couldn't, I'm not just going to throw lead at that deer. Basically, I had an opportunity to last like 15 minutes before it got dark, because I left when it was light still, but it was so close. Oh man, there's so many big buck out here, and sometimes it's really difficult. I mean, just look how thick this stuff is. A buck can just disappear in there in a matter of seconds, so it's really, really difficult to get a good, clean, open shot. It's not like you're hunting out west or anything. But that's essentially what happened to me at the end of the day. I think James is going to probably tell him a little bit of what happened to him, maybe go over a couple things, but so close for you guys.
After all that walking, I unfortunately didn't see anything at all, but I made it out to the road now, and I'm waiting for my dad, my brother, plus my cousin, come pick me up, because we're going to go to another area that we still hunted before and had some success. And as of now, I am not hunting this spot anymore.
What's interesting about the area that we're hunting, when I first came here about maybe 8 years ago hunting this location, we didn't see a lot of deer. I was pretty young still. But every year or every other year, I would get an opportunity at a buck, and that was really was kind of special when I was young. Quite frankly, those are the buck that I've killed in my life. I've gone quite some time now without shooting a buck. I've had opportunities, but I just decided to pass up on ones that are kind of small, just because I don't really want to take a small buck right now. But basically, yeah. And as the years went on, we've gotten some really nice buck out of here. I'll show you some pictures of some nice buck we've got taken out of here. It's really kind of slim. I used to see a little bit more deer than I'm seeing now, but it seems like the more pressure you have, the farther back these deer go into the thicket, and it becomes harder and harder to shoot them. So, but yeah, hopefully James and Logan have something to show you guys, because my day is about done here. I'm gonna head back to the truck, clean up some stuff, and head back to the cabin, pack up, and head home. Just some grass. So that's about all we have for you guys today. The sun's coming down, so we're probably going to head back to the truck here. Today wasn't too productive. We didn't see a lot of deer, but we learned a lot. We found some tracks. We found some bear tracks. We found a lot of places where I'm more populated than other locations, and a lot of places that they like hanging out of. I probably saw maybe 6 tracks today, a different bear, which is outrageous. More tracks probably than I did in well-populated deer areas, which is pretty incredible.
Alright, that is the end of day 2 of PA rifle season. In that last still hunt we did, I saw a buck, but unfortunately a turkey, I guess, saw me and spooked, and then the buck was made aware, and then he took off as well. So I wasn't able to get a shot.
And with that being said, stay safe and good luck.